What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to more Gates of Hell, and today we are going to be breaking down, looking into what is the best starting units to use for Conquest with the German faction. Now I did this video about 2 years ago and I thought the way I did it was a bit, wasn't the best way of explaining it down. So today I'm going to be explaining right down to detail what is the best unit for the campaign for Conquest by selection. So I'm going to go to kind of break it down by section, and hopefully that way you guys get a better understanding of when you are playing Conquest, then you are better to understand this. Now I am doing this based on a high hardcore difficulty and as well as a high economy, which means it's not the best economy, so you don't get as many research points, but as well as that being the very long campaign, very large campaign, as well as no fog of war. So if you want to follow these kind of stats or these kind of Conquest settings, then I'll leave it up on the screen right now. But for those who don't and want to kind of adjust it and maybe get more research points, you can. But this is based on having 8 research points to start off with. So if you guys would like to see more of these tips and tricks or more tutorials on how to kind of get better at the game or even just learn about better units for Gates of Hell, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and let's get straight into it. So the first thing I want to announce is that we are kind of starting off with kind of the defense section / the support section. Now the first thing you start off with is an officer. Now you can go down to get the medium smoke barrage, or go down to get the command squad, or even get a recon plane. But my very first thing I would absolutely do, and this is for everyone, is that get your call-in stage 2, and this allows you to get more units to call in during the battle, and this costs absolutely nothing, so it still counts 0. Then I would get your small defense. Now it costs 1 research point, so you're down to 7 research points, and this means that when you're doing a defense battle, you do have some AI help to help you during the defense battles. And then from there on, then I would maybe start calling in, going down in your second, kind of when you're first done the first battle, then I would go down to the medium smoke barrage and then possibly unlock the command squad to get the 3rd stage, and then call in your medium stage defense, which is really good. So that is kind of the route I would take. I would possibly avoid getting the bombings are actually very helpful, but I would get those bombings towards the end of, or mid towards the end of your campaign when you're doing that. But just now I would focus on getting the call-in stage 2 small defense, going for the command squad, and then getting your 3rd call-in stage for at the very start, and then kind of go down towards the other kind of call-in support towards the end. So that is my route for your call-in support stage. Going on to kind of your AT unit / kind of your AT guns, or not AT guns, your kind of special units for AT stuff. Now you do start off with an AT detachment, 2 AT guys, and then you could get a grenade rifleman or a 2.8 centimeter kind of AA gun, but I would completely avoid this section. Actually, I think this is probably one of the most useless sections, I would say, and I would not really avoid, because I would only really get this towards, again, at the end of your campaign when you do have a lot more research points to play along with. But just now I think it's kind of at the start you're kind of a wee bit, it is completely useless, and I would maybe wait towards the end of your campaign to get maybe the Panzerschreck team or the anti-tank team, because they are very good. But again, use that when you're going up against more heavily armored AI, maybe like if you are up against Americans and they start putting out Pershings, then I would start maybe using these to get your flanking positions around them. Moving on to kind of your supply crates and all that. Now you do start off with a German ammo crate, and you can get an infantry crate that that carries along as a kind of a tow truck kind of ammo with one of your tanks supply truck. But along that, I think which is really dumb that Gates of Hell have done is that they've put on another supply kind of crate here, which basically just gives you a wee bit more supplies. But honestly, I think this is a really kind of dumb move, because a lot of people just want to get to the supply truck itself, And as you know, with supply crates, they are good at the start, or they're okay, but the problem is they take ages. If you're doing a defense battle and the AI come quickly, or you're doing a counter and your men run out of ammo, then the supply ammo crate guys take ages to get into position, carried by 2 guys, whereas supply truck, you know, it is a vehicle, so it is able to get to your men quicker to resupply your tanks, fuel, your infantry, whatever it is. So I think this kind of second supply trailer is completely useless, and I think they should get rid of it and just make the supply truck, you know, your second thing. So if you really do want a supply truck at the start, you can get it, but honestly I think this is a really good waste. You've already wasted 2 things, and I do not think that you need a supply truck at the very start. Maybe in your second or possibly third or fourth battle, that's when you start needing supply crates or supply trucks, but just now I think it's a complete waste, and get it towards kind of the mids towards of it. So you're still just now only having 1 research point used, and you already have a bunch of good things with you. Moving on to now the infantry, and now the infantry is quite a lot, so I'll get through as much as I can. So kind of starting off with the field engineers again, and the field kind of trucks and all that, I would completely leave this alone. Again, I think engineers and all that are quite useless. Unless you do want to get it, then the AP miners, AT miners, and the flamethrowers are completely free. So all you do is that you're actually only spending 1 research point to get an AP miner, an AT miner, and a flamer. Now that does sound good in reality, but if you don't really need it at the start, because you are wasting 2 good research points that you could use on other infantry that you could get from the very start. So if you are really wanting to kind of use your AT mines and AP and AT miners at the start as well, flamers, then go for it for defensive things. But honestly, I think this again just another useless thing, and I would not actually recommend it, because again I would use this towards maybe the end of your campaign, as I do think it gets tougher and you are going up against heavier vehicles, and you will need to place those AP mines, or you do need to kind of flush out a position or trends. Then your flamer is good for that as well. Going down towards kind of your main infantry section now you do start off with 1 squad. It's called the Schnaugrub squad. I don't know how to pronounce that. Now my route for when you're starting is that, now it is quite complicated, so I'll try and do it as simple as I can. Now I would recommend getting your rifle squad. That is the first thing I would get, and that's you used up your 2 research points that you've not used on your field engineers, which is really good. So that allows you to possibly get another squad. Now you can either go up and get the Blau division squad, but that costs 5 research points, or you can go up and get the veteran rifle squad, which costs 2 research points, or you could get the Jaeger squad, which costs 3 research points. And if you want to kind of go up towards kind of the big proper, like the Sturm Jaeger squad, or even the Brandburger squad, or even the Geb Arzen Jaeger squad, I don't know how to pronounce it. If you want to kind of go up towards the heavier squad units, then go up towards, start off with the Rice squad and go up. But if you're kind of going towards the middle of the section, let's say you want to kind of get the Grenadier units or the Armoured Panzer Pioneer unit, then go for the Pioneer squad, and as well as your Rifle squad, and kind of go along that way. But you can actually unlock the Armoured Panzer Pioneer squad from there. You need to actually, it's really dumb, you need to go up towards a Rifle squad, go along kind of towards this way, and then down. Now with that, you're actually, with the Rifle squad, you do get a transport truck, and then you also, with that, you could get the motorized Rifle squad, which means that the troops will come in a truck. But I think this, again, you're already up to 7 points at that point, so I would actually avoid even getting that. So if you really kind of want to go towards the middle part, start maybe going up with your Rifle squad and then kind of go along. But the Pioneer squad is kind of useless, so and maybe start going, also getting maybe your Ulfkner squad. So that is 1 research point, which is quite cheap, and then that means you can go down to get like a sniper and another squad, as well as kind of going down towards your more agile kind of squads, and you can even get a 7.5 centimeter LG40, which I think is a machine gun at that point. So if you kind of want to go for the more lighter weight kind of squads or agile squads, then go for that. But other than that, you can go from the sniper. Now I think the sniper is super useful and I think it's best. So you can actually, I would maybe get the sniper, the I don't know what you call that, sorry, the Alf Kalair squad and a sniper, and then just pause there. So that should give you enough to kind of play around with infantry wise. And then going on from that, that's the kind of the infantry section now done from there. But if you do want to carry on, kind of depending which way you want to go, if you want to get, these sort of the Goliath kind of things, then you do need to go up to the rifle squad, go along, go back down, and then go unlock the armor, and then unlock the motorized rifle squad, and then go along to the armored panzer pioneer, and then go that way if you really want to. But that means that along with your rifle squad, you're kind of unlocking everything kind of from all the way up here, all the way kind of into the middle. Whereas your kind of your Alfcare squad kind of unlocks everything just down below here, which is also a really good thing. So it's up to you. It's a personal preference, but for my personal opinion, I would rather go for the rifle squad and kind of unlock more kind of armored heavily units with the Goliath, which can be really sneaky and blow a lot of heavy armored vehicles up when you do kind of get towards your middle or the end of your campaign. So that's the infantry done. Going on to your kind of your infantry, sorry, not your infantry, going on to the machine guns, I think again completely useless. You can get a mortar actually, so that you can get 2 machine guns, but they're not, it's not a thing where you need to get a machine gun first. You can actually get a mortar as separate, so you could get a machine gun if you really wanted, but that uses up 2, and I think you've only got 1 research point left, so I wouldn't do that. You can get a mortar, and that is really good for defense, but again, I'd maybe get this maybe into your third, maybe your 4th or 5th battle, or even your 3rd or 4th battle, then get a mortar, and then see how it goes, and then see if you want to get more mortars, because mortars are fantastic for defensively, because they will absolutely just deplete the enemy vehicles and infantry to make them run away or really hard to attack. Going on to kind of like your AA guns and your AT guns. Now the best one, of course, your flak 8.8 centimeters, which is the best AT gun I think in the game. But honestly, again, I would avoid kind of all this unless, because there is hardly any, the enemy AI don't bring out any planes until like the mid or towards the end of the battle, so I would actually avoid this until possibly the mid. Now if you do really want the flat point 8, sorry, the 8.8 centimeter flak 18, then start heading down this line. But honestly, again, another just waste of resources or your research points, and not worth it. Now it's getting to your really good stuff, your AT guns. Now your AT guns, you already start off with a 3.7 centimeter Pak 36, which is brilliant to start off with. Honestly, I don't really think you need anything other than that for the first couple battles. After your 4th or 5th battle, I think you could possibly now start progressing and get a 7.5 centimeter HE, which allows you, it's a howitzer, so basically allows you to deal with heavier armored units that the 3.7 meter can't do, because if that got that smaller caliber. Because that 7.5 centimeter howitzer is rapid fire, is kind of uses HE rounds and heat rounds, which is able to deal with large groups of infantry and kind of dangerous thicker tanks, then you're able to, and then I think the 7.5 centimeter is a brilliant idea for your 4th or 5th battle. But for the start, I would actually kind of just stick with your kind of your 3.7 centimeter, unless you are kind of wanting a bigger caliber of AT gun, then go for your 4.7 centimeter gun, but that only leaves you with 2 research points left. So in this case, I would possibly get the 7.5 centimeter. If I was choosing between the 7.5 and the 4.7, I would possibly go for 7.5, but I would wait a couple more battles before that, because that means you're able to build up more research points on that. So that is my game, and if you really kind of want to go with the big proper AT guns and artillery, then you can start progressing down this way, and you will get some absolute cracking AT guns like the 8.8 centimeters. You can even get a Nashorn, which is even a tank destroyer, which seems to be in the wrong era. I don't know why that's there. Or you could get the 60 centimeter, Geralt, which is basically a giant ass gun. And honestly, you can get a Hummel, which is an artillery piece. So there's a lot of good choices here. Or you can even get kind of like the Panzerwaffe, which is amazing rocket artillery, as well as the Nebelwerfer. So honestly, really good picks here. But again, pick those kind of options towards the end or mid of the battle, and that's where you're able to get artillery support for maybe your defensive or kind of attacking battles that you do, more for attacking. And lastly, moving on to kind of your tanks, which kind of covers lightly armored vehicles and this. So you actually don't start off with anything with the Germans, they don't give you anything. Again, I would really kind of avoid this. You do, your best kind of vehicle you end up with is the Panzer B2, but you can get the Panzer B2 through the artillery line, but honestly not really worth it. I would kind of avoid all this, and I would actually skip and get the Panzer 1B, which only costs 1 research point, and that allows you to give you an option of a tank destroyer, the Panzerjäger 1, which leads on to the Sturm Panzer 1, which is more of a kind of shotgun artillery, or you can get, which if that's not what you like, then you can get another tank, which is the Panzer 2C, and then you can either choose between the Panzer 35T or the Panzer 2F, which the Panzer 2F will lead you onto the Panzer 2L or the Marder 2, but that's all it leads you to. So I would actually recommend choosing the Panzer 38T, which gives you a long list of other Panzer 38Ts which are better as you progress, as well as getting the Marder and the Jagdpanzer or the Hetzer, which is brilliant, which also leads you onto some maybe nice artillery. And then but that once you get more research points after 38T, you can go straight down and get the Panzer 3, which again, all these German tanks are relatively cheap, and that allows you to start going towards your tank destroyers, such as the Stug, which are really powerful tanks, and then that leads you on to your Panzer 4s, and then Jagdpanzers, and then your Panthers, your Tigers. So I think your main concentration at the start is to go for your tanks, but overall, that is all your research points used up. So there you go, guys. That is my overall kind of helpful kind of tip, or what I would use for your beginning at the start for your conquest for the German faction. And I've also kind of showed you in which direction you should go after you kind of played 4 or 5 battles, and which way you go. Again, this is all depending on the way that you play and the way that kind of you attack or defend. But these are my kind of personal options that I would choose, and you can steal them or use them if you want. But let me know in the comments down below what you would pick for your starting units, and which way would you go along the tech tree that way. So guys, that is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you do want to see about my recent video, which was all about the Panzer Elite update, then click left here. But other than that, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching and our support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.